Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to HemingwayLand.com, your source for quality, affordable land in the state of Colorado. Yes, people, we are finally back in the Rocky Mountain State with another new property. This one more of a residential property. As we say here in the headline, mobile and modular friendly, sits in very close proximity to a number of great outdoor attractions, national parks in this region, and about 10 minutes down the street from the town of Alamosa. As you can see in the header photo here, it is also sitting in the shadows of nearby Mount Vista. That and so much more in today's video, guys. Let's get to it. This is reference number ALCO-1852, our very first property in Alamosa County, Colorado. This property sits specifically in the Deer Valley Meadows subdivision, and it is a scooch under 2 acres, 1.73 to be exact. As you saw up top, we've got these 1.73 acres priced at $3,500. Let's bring it up on a map, show you guys exactly where this is. As with all of our listings, guys, we got GPS coordinates down here, 4 corner points, and a center. Click any one of them, and voila, a map of Colorado shall appear before you. All right, so if your knowledge of Colorado geography begins and ends with the city of Denver, you should know that Denver is nowhere close to the subject property. Subject property is down here in the south central portion of the state, down here in the San Luis Valley. Denver is up here, roughly about 160 miles as the crow flies. So if we break that down into drive time, it's probably more like 3 hours and 45 minutes to get up there, something like that. Whatever the case, plenty of great towns and attractions in between. As we work our way south, Colorado Springs right here, Pueblo right here, and as we zoom in on the subject property, you see that it sits in pretty close proximity. The towns of Walsenburg, Trinidad, Monte Vista, and most notably the town of Alamosa, which sits just about 10 minutes west of the subject property. Before I get to Alamosa, however, I just want to point out, guys, that all the green on this map belies the fact there are plenty of great outdoor attractions very close to this property. You've got the Sangre de Cristo Mountains over here to the east. You've got the San Juan Mountains over here to the west, and in between a whole bunch of great things. For instance, in close proximity to the subject property, we've got the Smith Reservoir right here. We've got the Mountain Home Reservoir right here. We've got, Monte Vista National Wildlife Refuge right over here. We've got Alamosa Wildlife Refuge just, I believe, north of the town. No, south of the town down here. We've got the Zapata Falls, waterfalls in this region just up here. And don't want to bury the headline, guys, but we've got the Great Sand Dunes National Park and Preserve roughly about 10 minutes northeast of the subject property. If you have never seen sand dunes before, guys, you'll be glad to know that we have photos taken from the national park itself right here. This park, of course, is a great place to go hang out, a great place to take photos, sand sledding, sand attractions, sand skiing, whatever people do in sand, you can do out here. I believe the park's claim to fame is that they are the tallest sand dunes in North America. I might be slightly off in that metric, but you get the point. It's a sight to see, and it sits in very close proximity to the subject property. So this will be right here in your backyard, along with all the other things that I just mentioned. Should be noted, guys, that all these attractions that I just kind of detailed and went through, we actually have kind of listed up here under our property specific notes. This is a list of all of them. Most notably, however, I want to direct your attention. If I went too fast through any of this, if there's anything that I missed, and quite frankly, there's a lot, Alamosa, the town of Alamosa, and just the county in general, has a pretty good tourism website. If you click on this, here's everything to see and do in this region. It's a pretty comprehensive website. Of course, they start with the sand dunes up here, and they work their way down into the other parks and the other lakes, the other bodies of water, mountains, hiking trails, so on and so forth that exists out here. So if you are seriously considering this region and you don't know much about it, this will be a great resource for you. Whatever the case, guys, let's go back to the map here and talk about the town of Alamosa, which, as I said, sits about 10 miles west of the subject property, just right here along U.S. Highway 160. If, guys, we zoom in on the town of Alamosa, you will see there's a lot going on out here. We'll come back to the map in just a second because, fortunately, we also have photos, guys, from the town itself. So here we go. This is Alamosa County, Alamosa, Colorado, with the Alamosa River going through it right here. Population of roughly about 9,500, give or take. Point being, living within 10 minutes of the subject property, you're going to have easy access to, of course, government buildings, banks, post offices, the nearby hospital, San Luis Valley Health Hospital, is right down the street from you. Look at this bank. Look at this bank. It looks like a military base or something. Anyway, post office right here, and of course, medical facilities, churches, schools, so on and so forth. And can't forget Walmart, guys. Of course, they have a Walmart. They also have a Tractor Supply. Grocery stores. This is all my way of saying that anything you need, groceries, supplies, amenities, is going to be just a 10-minute drive right down the street in nearby Alamosa. So these are some shots of the town itself. And then we get back to the dunes. I'll come back to this in just a minute. It should be noted, guys, that here on the map, you can take a chance to explore a little bit more, see exactly what's offered out here. Obviously, every fast food restaurant in America, or most all of them, have some kind of footprint out here. Walmart Pharmacy, Cattails Golf Course nearby, so on and so forth. So obviously a lot to do. It's not a rinky-dink small town. There's a lot going on out here. 2 colleges and universities in this region, etc. Adams State University, and I think Trinidad, Junior College, I want to say. Anyway, with all that said, guys, let's talk about the subject property itself. So this one sits just down here in what we talked about earlier, the Deer Valley Meadows subdivision. As I zoom in on the map, guys, you will see that all of this cutout region, this carved out region right here, just south of Highway 160, is Deer Valley Meadows. And if we go to satellite view, kind of zoom in on it, you can see that, like a lot of subdivisions in some places, it's one of these where there's more development up here by the highway and less development the further south that you go. Point being, if you zoom in on the map, you're going to see some what look to be some pretty nice developed home sites out here. I'm not sure what's going on with this one, but as you zoom in on these, you can see that there seem to be some homes that are constructed out here. Some time, some money, some consideration went into them. Additionally, you also have what look to be some mobile homes out here. Some nicer homes like this, so on and so forth. Point being, guys, more general development up here closer to the highway. As we keep going east through the subdivision, we will come to the subject property, which sits in a less developed region and hence offers you more privacy. That, however, does not mean that it is devoid of utilities. I want to point out that the nearest power line is over here at the corner of Mountain View Boulevard and Turquoise Drive. If we zoom in on the map, you could kind of see it right here. Utility easement right here. Point being, that is roughly about 500 feet from the subject property, which sits here along Gold Drive. Now, guys, I would love to tell you that if we went to map view, you would see the plat overlay of the property out here. That, in fact, is not the case. So I'm going to direct your attention back to the photo gallery, where we also have, as always, the Google Earth overlay of the property's general footprint, size, shape, location, etc. And, of course, we have the plat map to prove that we are not making up random geometric shapes. This is Deer Valley Meadows, Unit 3, subject property down here along Gold Drive. With all that said, guys, let's go to the property-specific photos because I want to give you a sense of exactly what this looks like out here. As noted, guys, town photos, Great Sand Dunes National Park photos, and then finally down here we make our way to property photos. So, first off, this is the road frontage along Gold Drive. As you can see, this is a pretty easy road to navigate. It doesn't look to be the world's best maintained road, so maybe take a larger truck or off-road capable vehicle out there. My photographer reported no difficulties while he was out there, but maybe if it rains, might be. I would like to say that this is a dirt road. It looks like some kind of dirt-sand combination. I don't know. Sand dunes are nearby, so I have to assume the soil out here, the consistency is more sandy than dirt, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, as we go through this, guys, you can see the property is very easy to approach, probably in any vehicle type, most of the year, in most weather conditions. Also, the nearby Mount Blanca, the aforementioned Mount Blanca, from which the property sits just in the shadows of. These are the nearby power lines, as noted, roughly about 500 feet away at that nearby intersection. So, likely not too terribly difficult or expensive to get power extended to the subject property. There's power really throughout most of the subdivision, so my guess is they are used to doing that out here. Should not be too difficult. Anyway, as we get a look at the property itself, we can see the nice, flat, buildable piece of land. As always, I like to mention this is not the type of property where you're going to have to do a lot of landscaping, a lot of excavating. Pretty much show up, clear whatever brush and debris is out there, and you're going to be able to start constructing or parking whatever you want on the property itself. Anyway, I will let you guys explore the photo gallery on your own time. I will, however, point out that toward the end here, we have some gorgeous photos of nearby Mount Blanca, number 1, number 2, and then we have the drone overlays of the property just to once again demonstrate the general footprint of the land. And, of course, the drone does a 360-degree circular, so we can see where the property is, and we can see some of those nearby power lines that I was pointing out earlier. Again, guys, I will let you review that on your own time. What I want to bring to your attention now, guys, is up here at the top of the page. Let's talk about zoning. Let's talk about Deer Valley Meadows. So, as we have noted up here, Deer Valley Meadows has no HOA, no annual dues, There are no recorded covenants or restrictions or time limits on building. Now, guys, there are places when we say that, that means, oh my God, you can do whatever you want, right? This, however, is Alamosa County, Colorado. And Alamosa County seems to have a lot of zoning ordinances. I tried to read through the 300-page zoning ordinance and wrap my mind around some of these things. The bottom line here is that while the subdivision itself has basically non-existent governance, okay, the county has a lot of rules about these things. And first, let's just talk about how this property is zoned. So we have this little designation right here. If you click on this, it's going to bring up this excerpt from the zoning ordinance. Now, as noted, it's a 300-page zoning ordinance. So you're probably saying to yourself, hey, Hemingway, why did you extract such a minor portion of that zoning ordinance? Here's why, guys. If you read through this thing, you don't get a lot of easy answers. You get a lot of, it could be A, it could be B, or it could be C. Turn to page 72, page 89, or page 120 to learn more about what permits or blah, blah, blah. The point here, the long and the short of it, is that this property is zoned RMH, Residential Manufactured Home. That means it is good for single-family residences, it is good for mobile homes, it is good for modular homes. Anything after that, if you have unconventional plans for land in general, this may not be the property for you. My suspicion is that a shipping container is probably acceptable out here. Proper permits, proper building codes, as long as you're up to code, it's going to be good. If you're talking about tiny homes, if you're talking about certainly an earthship or a yurt, my guess is you will not be able to do those things. Anything between those degrees of conventionality and unconventionality, something you should investigate with the county. Now, one of the reasons why I kind of paused on the map here and I was showing you guys in satellite view what some of these home sites are like out here is because this is usually your best indication of what is acceptable in a given region. When you look at homes like this, you see some mobile homes, some modular homes out here. You see some that look a little, not as nice as some others. This one that I pointed out before, where's it at? Hang on, guys. I already lost it. Anyway, there are some nice developed home sites out here. There are some that look less so. So my guess is that the zoning is not too terribly strict as far as conforming to some sort of aesthetic uniformity. But they probably draw the line at mobile modular homes, maybe shipping containers. Point being, guys, if this is a lot that you're looking at, it is more for residential purposes than recreational purposes. And if you do intend to build on it, you're going to want to dig deeper on this and investigate more with the county. Okay? By the way, I found it. These were the two nice home sites I was just trying to show you. All right. With all that said, let's talk about RV usage because, of course, everybody likes to ask about RVs. I was particularly curious about this because every time I ever read listings, people who do what we do list properties out here, a lot of them will say that this land is RV friendly. They say that because Alamosa County has a permit that you can get that gives you 180 days of RV living or camping. And you see something like that. We see that in a lot of places in New Mexico. And that usually means, yeah, go nuts. 180 days. As long as you're disposing of waste in a reasonable fashion, nobody really says anything. Alamosa County, however, let me just read this to you because I'm going to screw it up otherwise. These lots are RV friendly. It should be noted that these temporary permits, which cost $120, are contingent on an installed on-site wastewater treatment system, OWTS, and Step 2, a physical address. Now, we have this link right here. If you click on this, it is going to bring up the temporary use permit and all the sort of language that goes with this, all the sort of hoops that you have to jump through. And let me just kind of show you guys this. 6-step process. Apply and pay for a septic permit. Apply and pay for an address. Address issued. Install the septic system. Now apply and pay for a temporary use permit. You get the permit, now you can RV on the land. So I do not necessarily consider this an RV-friendly property. If you want to jump through those hoops, maybe you have some experience with it, it'll be easier for you. Maybe this is not a big deal. But this is a lot stricter than what I normally see in places in New Mexico. Whatever the case, this PDF will kind of walk you through what this process is. It'll show you the forms that you have to fill out. And most importantly, you have some contact information up here for the county, phone number and email if you have more specific questions about this. This pretty much seems to me like you have to be building on this property to have an RV on it. It's not totally the case, but that's what it seems like to me. So that is something I would also encourage you guys to investigate. Now, if you do end up building out here, a couple things we want to make you aware of. Number one, San Luis Valley Rural Electric Co-op is one of the power companies that services this region. There's also Xcel Energy. If you click on either of these links, it's going to bring up their respective websites. Nonetheless, we always like to point out to people that when we're talking about getting power extended to a property, there are some good questions about logistics and costs that you should have prior to purchasing the land. Reaching out, of course, to the local utility company, asking them, say, hey, I'm buying some land. It's just off the 160. It's in Deer Valley Meadows. It's about 500 feet from a power line. What is it going to take for me to get hooked up to power? These are the types of questions you want to address to them. They can answer them much better than we can. That's number one, guys. Number two, I also want to point out, as we make note in this bullet point down here, the Colorado Division of Water Resources logs the well depth of the 5 wells nearest to this property between 7 and 150 feet, suggesting an easily accessible water table. How can you learn more about that or proof check me on that, let's say? Come up here, click this link. It's going to take you to the Colorado Division of Water Resources website. They got a handy thing right here. It is the Well Permit Map Viewer. I'm going to click on this and pause the video. So it takes a little while for the map of Colorado to come up. Once it comes up, you can kind of zoom in and find where the property is located. Here's Alamosa over here. Here's Deer Valley Meadows over here. And if we zoom in and zoom just enough, we're going to come to, where is it at? Gold Drive right over here. And then I would encourage you guys, come up here and click the well application and the final permits, and you will see the green dots appearing on the map indicate all of the wells that exist or have been approved for construction or drilling in this general area. And if you kind of zoom in on these and you start clicking the little green dots, you get the information up here. The well depth on this one, 145 feet. Here's one over here, well depth 70 feet. Here's one over here, well depth 80 feet, so on and so forth. I will let you guys poke around on this one on your own time, but the point is you can reach out to local vendors, you can ask them about the degree of difficulty, the cost involved in drilling a well out here, or because sometimes those guys are not great about returning phone calls or giving straight answers. You can kind of refer to this website here. Colorado has a much better, more developed, more user-friendly website for this than I have seen in other states, particularly New Mexico. So they make it very easy to kind of navigate this information and learn more for yourself. Anyway, so that is my information on wells. Finally, guys, I just want to point out to you, if you start Googling land for sale, Deer Valley Meadows subdivision, Alamosa County, Colorado, I came up with a pretty good website here that has a lot of comps for land that's for sale in this region. Now, this is my way of saying that our property is not only priced competitively, it seems to be priced the lowest of all of them. I'm seeing one here for about $4,400. Here's a bunch for $5,000, $5,000, $5,000, $7,500, etc. Maybe one of these locations appeals to you more. Maybe money is not a factor for you. If, however, you're looking for the most affordable, let's say, property out there, you can see by the comps on this website, which has about, what is this, like 20 listings, that our property priced at $3,500 is the most affordable out here in this region. So just do a little Googling on land for sale in this region. You'll probably come upon this website, and you'll be able to kind of compare and contrast our property with these. Anyway, guys, with all that said, if this is something you are interested in purchasing, just come up here, click the Buy Now button. It, as always, will take you to the secure checkout page where we will ask you for some information. What name or names do you want on the new deed? How do we get in contact with you? What's your tax address? So on and so forth. Agree to the terms of service, come down here, click Next. On the very next page, we will collect credit or debit card information from you where you can purchase the property in full, $3,500 plus a $150 doc prep fee, $3,650 in total, and we deed the property into your name. You, of course, will have documentation from us within 24 hours, which we will ask you to approve. Once you approve it, once you say, yes, everything is correct, we will autograph it, notarize it, and mail it off to the county to be recorded, and within just a short period of time, the property will be conveyed into your name. With all that said, guys, if you have any questions, leave a comment here on the YouTube channel. Shoot us an email, support@hemingwayland.com, or give us a call, 702-919-7170. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we will see you in the next video.